All right, Sportlands are out here in Essex today with Arsenal legend, invincible, Mr. Ray Parlour. Ray, how are you?
How are you, pal?
Good,
really
thanks. Good. Yeah. You busy?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Monday morning, my only thing I do on a Monday morning is go and get my car from the pub. So I run down there this morning, which is always good because you get the weekend out of you, and you're ready to go for another week. But I'm glad the old weather's getting better as well because I'm missing the old golf.
Yeah.
So golf is booked for Wednesday.
Right.
So we're back on the course.
Let's hope the snow doesn't continue too much then.
Well,
be out there anyway.
A bit of snow don't hurt you.
You'll be fine. All right, well, we better get down to business, I suppose. Arsenal yesterday, obviously a disappointing result, third defeat in a row. Lots of chances that on XG they won the match, but just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. Where do you think, where's the confidence gone? Because when they played Liverpool away, they looked sharp, they should have won that one, and now it's 3 defeats on the spin.
this is what football does for you. You know, you get spells in seasons. Suddenly you get a couple of bad defeats. We had it in our teams, and we end up being successful. We always had it in November, where we had a really bad November, and we had to really regroup and all get together again and go again. So this little break might have come at a good time after that defeat. I think they're going to go away for warm weather training, train hard, trying to get a few more players fit, Partey, Zinchenko, Vieira, and people like that, and then go again. But this little break, it's all about having meetings and getting with each other and saying, look, come on, there's still a long way to go in this season.
That's it.
Let's not throw it away now. We've had a decent start. We know we've had a couple of bad results, West Ham, Fulham and Liverpool, but there's still a long way to go. And let's regroup, try and get that next win and go again.
Do you think there's an element of Granit Xhaka being missed this season, his leadership and just what he brought to the team, maybe not necessarily, in a footballing sense, but more of the mentality? Yeah,
I definitely agree with that. But it was a situation in his life where he wanted to go back to Germany. And sometimes you can't stand in people's way. Look, footballers have got a lot of control now, and if they say, look, they want to leave, I think he wanted a 5-year contract at Arsenal, which they don't give out at that sort of age. Because you never know with injuries and whatever as you get older. And he wanted to get that security for his family, so that's why he made that big decision. And Arsenal obviously got good money for him as well. And sometimes you just got to not worry about that. Some players come and go, and you just got to get on with the players you've got. And don't get me wrong, he played a big part last season in the team, but you've got to move on. Yeah,
I know Mikel Arteta after the game yesterday said he's sceptical as to whether Arsenal will spend any money in the transfer window, but I have read this morning that Amadou Onana from Everton is being heavily linked with Arsenal. He's like a holding midfielder, quite dynamic. 60 million, I think they're talking about. Is that a kind of signing that you could see Arsenal pulling off?
Well, I think Partey is the big question because it looks like he's going to be on his way. So you need to replace him, which is, when he's in that team, he's a decent player in that central midfield area. So I think they're looking for the future there. Maybe he moves on this window. We don't know. Partey's been linked with Saudi Arabia and places like that. So you always got to look at replacement in there. The squad is so important now because of the games you play, Champions League now, and you want to be competing in that every single season, Arsenal. So anybody's available. And I know Everton probably need a bit of money as well to come in.
True.
So that's where Arsenal might be a little bit cheeky and say to him, we give you this for him, take it or leave it, sort of thing, and see what Everton say. But obviously, the dying out for a striker. But the problem is at this time of the year, who's available?
Well, this is it. This is what I was going to come on to. Yeah, I mean, Everton do drive a hard bargain. I think we've maybe spoken to them about Dominic Calvert-Lewin in the past, but we spoke there about Ivan Toney at Brentford. He's a man. There's not many strikers around, are there? World-class strikers. He's someone who potentially could solve Arsenal's problems, but have they got the money? Well,
the problem is that these clubs are in dangerous territory themselves. Everton down the bottom of the table, they had that 10 points deduction. Brentford are sitting fourth or fifth from bottom, so they're struggling. So to lose your best striker, it puts him in a real problem with the fans as well, because they want to stay in the Premier League next year. And other teams are going to be competing against them. And look what it's worth if you get relegated. It could be 130 million for the club itself. So to keep a player for another 6 months, make sure you stay in the Premier League, then you can go out and say, right, OK, he's for sale now, but we got time to replace him as well. See, if I was chairman of Brentford and Bournemouth with Solanke, with Calvert-Lewin, I'd be saying, look, if you really want to move on, you do it in the summer. keep us in the Premier League first, and then you can move on in the summer.
This is it. Do you see Arsenal trying to cash in on Eddie Nketiah, or do you think there's no chance of that?
I don't think that would happen. No, I do believe you need 2 or 3, 4 strikers sometimes. I mean, I played in some really good teams: Henri, Bergkamp, Carnu, Will Tord. We even had Francis Jeffers at one stage. So
Davor
5.
Suker as well.
Yeah, Davor Suker. So you've got to have that nucleus of strikers because up front you can rotate, you can mix it up a little bit. I never like to muck about with the defence too much. I always like a settled defence, but forward line you can tinker with it a little bit. Yeah. So you do need options. So I don't think Eddie will go at this stage, but who knows in the summer? Eddie might want to start playing on a regular basis, and if he makes that decision, I'm sure Mikel Arteta won't stand in his way. But you know, if we can keep him and bring a striker in, it does give that little bit of competition up front still.
In terms of the match yesterday against Liverpool, first half Arsenal obviously dominating the game, couldn't put the ball in the net. At half time, I think Klopp moved, what's his name, the striker, tall guy. Forgotten his name. Nunes, yeah, over to the left, and then he had a lot more joy out there. Do you think that was something that Arteta should have reacted to and couldn't quite figure out how to tactically nullify what Klopp had done?
Well, you got Ben White out there who's a good defender. You know, you got Gabriel and Saliba who's had really good season so far. But Ben White's a good defender as well. So I don't think Arteta would have thought, well, he ain't, you know, Ben knows how to defend. He's probably better defending than he is going forward.
True.
But you know, Nunes is a sort of an unpredictable player, isn't he?
Yeah,
you just don't know what you're going to get out of him. You know, going back to them 2 brilliant goals at Newcastle. Yeah. You know, he can score goals, spectacular goals, or he can miss big chances. So. Look, he moved it. Klopp made the obviously as a manager. I've never been a manager, but Klopp will say, take all the plaudits, say, well, look, that move, that was the difference.
Altered the flow of the game.
I think Mikel Arteta would have been very, very confident that Ben White can handle Nunes on that left-hand side.
Bukayo Saka's had a great start to the season, but he seems to be kind of fading out of games a bit at the moment. Do you think the rough treatment he's getting is taking a toll on him? Arsenal complained to the PGMOL, didn't they?
Well, I think it was. I don't think they complained. I think they was having a chat about it. I mean, look, there's a lot of players who get kicked. Grealish is another one for Man City. He's non-stop on the floor, but you've got to be tough. You know, it's one of them situations. Look at Messi and people like that over the years. I go back to different eras, but you know, you could tackle back in my era.
Yeah, very much so.
But you had to look after yourself.
You had to put a tackle in.
Yeah, you had to look after yourself, and you know, I'm playing against Stuart Pearce and people like that. Who ain't gonna be wholehearted. They go properly through you.
No half measures.
So I think it's with Bukayo. Look, he's a young lad still. He's done so much in the game at such a young age that he's going to have these little spells where he just drops off a little bit. And it's whether Mikel Arteta can afford to leave him out and maybe give him a little bit of a rest. Again, there's certain players who maybe needs this rest where the winter break is to recharge their batteries a little bit and then go again, sort of thing. But look, at the end of the day, I think you just got to deal with it, and I'm sure Arsenal will say have a chat with him, say, look, he does kicked a lot. If you look at videos and whatever, but it's down to the referee to make that decision on the day. And to be fair, now the players are certainly looked after a lot more than it was back in the day or even 10 years ago.
Well, yeah, hopefully you can kick on after the break.
So I like the old days where you could kick people. Much better. So much better. The first tackle was always for nothing.
Right.
So you could take someone out properly.
Get a freebie early.
And they go, we're first tackle, okay, next one you're in the book.
And that's it. That's what Tony Adams said as well.
Yeah, always.
The striker's having a shot, you can just clean him out.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got that for nothing.
That way. In terms of the fringe players that Arsenal got, like Emil Smith-Rowe, players like that, Fabio Vieira, they don't seem to be getting much of a look, and obviously Vieira's been suspended, but Emil Smith-Rowe only got 2 minutes yesterday. He must be feeling frustrated. What do you think's happening with him?
Well, it's difficult because very rarely you get Martinelli injured. I know he's had a spell out this season, but Trossard come in. Yeah. He's got Trossard in front of him as well. Then Odegaard doesn't get injured too often. I mean, he had that tiny spell out. Saka doesn't get injured, as we've seen.
Yeah, never.
So it's really hard to get him in front of those guys. You know, they're first choice, and you're just hoping, in a selfish way, really, as a player, that one of those guys get injured and you get an opportunity.
Get a chance,
but you need big squads. You need players there. But it's down to the players again. Smith-Rowe might come to a stage in his career says, look, I need to play. I need to play on a regular basis now. I'm getting that little bit older. I'm going to regret it if I don't play on a regular basis. So, and I think Mikel Arteta's been there as a footballer himself. he probably won't stand in his way, and then Arsenal will try and do a deal and get them the most money they can for him. But it's frustrating for players, it really is, sitting on that sideline, not playing on a regular basis. But this day and age, you need 26 in the squad because the games come thick and fast, and they'll probably be used in certain games and maybe come off the bench, but you're really relying on injuries to get a chance.
And that's it. That's the problem with going out of the cups so early. I suppose they can't really just chuck him in a Premier League game and hope that he's going to be up to speed.
Well, again, you've got to put your strong team against Liverpool.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially coming off 2 defeats, so I can see what Mikel's trying to do to get the confidence back into the team.
Sure.
If you're playing against a League One side or even Championship, you could probably rest probably half your team and put the fringe players in and still get away with it. But you can't do that against Liverpool. I don't think the fans would let you do that anyway as an Arsenal supporter. I certainly wouldn't want Mikel to put a half team out against a team like Liverpool.
No chance. In terms of the goalkeeping situation, we saw Aaron Ramsdale come in yesterday, played well, not just making saves, but also, ball over the top for Reece Nelson early on, great pass. Will he be looking at the situation thinking, what do I do? What do I need to do more to get back in the team against Palace? Because David Raya hasn't looked particularly stable.
No. I was a little bit shocked when they did change him, if I'm being honest, because I don't think Ramsdale done a lot wrong. But I am not there every day in training. I'm not the goalkeeper coach who probably interacts with Mikel Arteta all the time. Yeah. He does, fit into place because the Brentford, old Brentford goalkeeper coach is now the Arsenal coach, which he's probably worked with Rayo a lot. But Aaron, look, it's frustrating for him, and I'm sure he's very upset behind the scenes, and he probably won't come out with that. And I think his dad come out with that and said about that. But you just got to keep working hard. You just got to bide your time and have a chance. If it doesn't happen, then he'll probably have to move on. And I think most managers would be so delighted to have 2 good keepers in 1 and 2. But it's how you please both keepers. That's the hard bit. And he played yesterday. I'm sure Raya will come back into the next game, in the league game, and it is frustrating. But what can you do? I mean, it's down to the manager. Got to be ruthless, which he has been by leaving him out, and he's got to go by his decision now. And if he doesn't like it, then you've got to move on. I don't think he'll move on now in this window, but I'm sure at the end of the season, obviously Euros coming up as well. That's it, which I don't think affect him. I think Gareth Southgate, we've seen, is very loyal with certain people who doesn't play. Maguire that period, so I think he certainly will be in the squad still, but then he will have to look at his future in the summer.
Yeah, because even since Raya's come in and he's looked a bit sort of uncertain in the air and stuff like that, William Saliba's still carried on just being a Rolls Royce of a defender. Hasn't affected him. So can you see maybe if Ramsdale did come back in, it would maybe even boost like Arsenal defensive capabilities, or you just think?
I think they're both good goalkeepers. What I've seen of it, I know Raya looked a little bit nervous. The thing about with Raya now at Brentford, you could probably make 2 mistakes and get away with it. Yeah. If I'm being honest, and people forget about it very quickly. True. But at Arsenal, it's a different level. There's a lot more pressure on you. There's a lot more at stake, if you know what I mean. Brentford will be just trying to get mid-table this season, or just below mid-table, and that's a good season for Brentford. No doubt. Arsenal, you've got to be challenging for trophies, and we've always had good goalkeepers over the years. I mean, if you look back at Davy Seaman, Jens Lehmann, the Invincible team.
Great keepers.
Yeah, very, very good keepers. So it's such an important position to have.
Emi Martinez, letting him leave, would they be looking back at that in hindsight, thinking that could have been a mistake?
No, because it was his decision again. He wanted to go out. Again, the players have a lot of control now.
They brought Leno in, didn't they?
Yeah.
Said he'll be his number 1.
Yeah, and it was a situation where Martinez made that big decision, said, look, I want to leave the club. And Arsenal tried to get the best money for him, which was decent money in the end, 20 odd million pound for a reserve goalkeeper at that time. But I don't think you can have regrets in football. I really don't. I mean, you ain't going to get them all right, decisions. Transfers, you can see over the years, Everton spent all that money on transfers and not got it right. The recruitment's not been right. But and then you look at Brighton, the other foot, and they've got it spot on with the recruitment they've got. So great I don't think you should look back at when you let people go or when you sign people. You make that decision, you've got to stand by it as a club.
The future, there's no point looking back.
Exactly.
But speaking of looking back, it's 20 years since the Invincibles that you were a part of, that incredible team. Do you think Mikel Arteta could benefit from a word of advice from Arsene Wenger in any asset?
Well, I'm sure there's a little bit of Arsene Wenger in Mikel Arteta. I'm sure there's a little bit of Pep Guardiola. You can see, you know, certain attributes in. But Wenger's. I'm so pleased he's back at the club now. I mean, he had that spell when he wasn't coming to the club. I was at his statue unveiling, which was really good to see him again, and he was in great form. He's such a nice man, and you know, he wants the best for Arsenal Football Club. So I'm sure Mikel, if he wanted to have a chat with, and Arsene Wenger won't win Mikel Arteta. It's down to Mikel Arteta to say, you know, because he's not that sort of man, Arsene Wenger. But if Mikel phoned him up, he'll help him as much as he could. He's always been like that, a little bit probably like Sir Alex Ferguson at Manchester United. But yeah, I mean, Mikel is his own man. You've got to be ruthless in this job. You know what's at stake. You know that if you don't do the job, you won't be there. Every manager in the Premier League is in that situation, and you've got to get on with it. But I'm sure he's learnt a little bit off Arsene Wenger over the years. And I remember speaking to Arsene, he said he was very inquisitive as a player, always asked him questions.
Kind of had an idea he was going to be a coach.
So you could see he was going to go down that route when he finished his career.
Some of our PR team have got a question here for you. Did you ever have a fallout with Arsene Wenger over anything, or you generally got on pretty well?
He wasn't that sort of man to fall out with.
Tough to
He'd
fall
leave you out. I remember I got left out once. I think I done it. I went over the top a little bit in the week, and I remember. I think I headbutted a bar. Believe it or not. I got tangled up in his stall, and he found out about it. He left me out for a game or so. But he was such a nice man, and he always tried to do the best for you. And you'd run through a brick wall for him. Look, I could argue I'd do it for any manager, because I wanted Arsenal to be the best team I could be, and I was an Arsenal fan, you know. So, but it's a situation where Wenger, he was always very fair with players. If you ask every player that has left the club, I don't think, well, you might have one out of the whole out of all the people who've left, have a bad word to say about him. He always done it in the right way. He always tried to steer you in the right way.
That's it.
And you know, he wanted me to stay when I left, but I knew that I had a year left on my contract, and it was a situation where we had some good little blood players coming through as well, and I wanted to play every week. I'm getting to a stage in my career, I was 31, 32, and I thought I've only got a couple more years left. My knee was not very good at the time, so it was a situation where I just took that chance and went to Middlesbrough. But I look back at it, and I always remember the famous story was, I said, "Boss, you've got this great kid coming through the ranks, Fabregas." He went, "Rest ways, and they take your position." And I said to him, "Make sure he gets my number when I leave." And he kept to his word. Obviously, Fabregas got my number when I left. Number 15.
Of course, that's it. And then number 4 after that, wasn't
it? Obviously you go down to Patrick's number.
Exactly. Going back to that, because I think Wenger, when he first came in, he John Hartson was there, wasn't he? Paul Merson was there, and they were the kind of the first two that he shipped out. I think he said maybe their first touch was
Merce, he probably wouldn't have kept Merce, but Merce went. He probably went for the money a little bit at Middlesbrough. He's the first to admit that.
That's right.
But yeah, there's certain players didn't fit in. But what he did really well was he said, "Look, you're not going to be part of my plans, but I'm going to help you get the best club you can." So he wouldn't just leave you out in the cold. He wouldn't just say, "Right, you're not in my plans. You go and train in the reserves or go and whatever," like some managers would do. He would always keep you in with the group, but you know you need to get a new club, and he would try and do the best he can to help you do that.
Going back to that era a little bit more, Thierry Henry, obviously a player you played with and know probably pretty well. I saw a clip of an interview with him earlier today. He was saying about how, you know, during his time at Arsenal and during his career in general, he was so driven and so focused. He was almost like depressed in some kind of way. Did he ever seem that way to you?
I sat next to him for 5 years. We always had a bit of fun.
Because he used to kind of score a goal and not celebrate.
I don't know what it was like when I left, because it was a little bit more humour when I was there with Ian Wright and he was the back of it. Thierry didn't really play with Ian Wright, but obviously Patrick Digg and a few others. But I think the British guys really helped foreign guys all fit in together, and we always made sure we're all together. But Thierry, as he got bigger and bigger as a player, sometimes people can get too big for the club. Maybe that was where Thierry was, but he was always his ability he had, and what he did with a ball was unbelievable. I mean, the pace. He was just an athlete as well with it. He could finisher, but an athlete as well, and he used to love peeling out onto the left-hand side. But the first 6 or 7 games, he struggled a bit. He couldn't. We lost an Elka, who was unbelievable one season. We thought, well, Thierry's come in, and we're going to struggle here because he's not at that stage he wasn't as good as Nicolas Anelka. But once he got his first goal, he didn't look back. He got a lot of confidence, and to beat Ian Wright's record was amazing. I mean, beat by 50 goals as well.
Yeah, smashed it.
Some going because Wrighty, I thought that's going to be hard to beat his goal scoring record.
In terms of looking forward to the rest of the season now for Arsenal, how do you see them getting on against Porto in the Champions League?
Well, this could be very important. I mean, I do fancy him over 2 legs against Porto. I think Porto decent at home, but if you can go there and get a result, draw, I'm sure they'll beat him at the Emirates. So, and then it's a bit of luck in the draw along the way. But yeah, you've got to look at the Champions League and have a chance.
The best chance now of a trophy, really, isn't it?
Well, you've got some good teams in it. Don't get me wrong. You say you've got a chance, but you've got some top sides in it still. But why not? I mean, it's a situation. It's 90 minutes game end of the day.
Over 2 legs, you got.
Yeah,
to back yourself.
You got to back yourself. That's the only probably regret we had, if I'm being honest. In my teams I played in, that we didn't get to that. I know they done it in 2006 and nearly won it, but we had a really good chance. Probably we lost to Valencia in the quarterfinals, and we would have played Leeds in the semis, which we would have been big favourites to beat them, and that could have been the year where we won it. But
Wayne Bridge as well. That year.
Wayne Bridge, that was Chelsea, 2004. That was the invincible season, and that was a bad week. Could have been a really bad week because we got knocked out to Man United in the FA Cup the weekend, and then we lost to Chelsea, and then we was 2-1 down against Liverpool and then that's when Henry
ran the length.
He was unbelievable and scored hat-trick, I think, that day. We won 4-2 in the end, and that puts back on track for the league.
In terms of the league this season, then I think you were saying there you think Man City, the bookies got it right, Man City, but where do you see Arsenal finishing then? They push them all the way like they did last year?
It's going to be tight. I mean, look, there's a long way to go. It's not like there's 4 or 5 games left and they've really come into a bad spell. As I said before, this break could help them. It's all about the next 3 games now. They've got to win every game, and hopefully Man City and Liverpool drop points. But you've got to believe in yourself. You've got to believe that you can still do it. I know it's going to be difficult because Man City have been there and done it on many occasions, and they've got some big players coming back. De Bruyne is obviously the biggest player for them in midfield. But you just got to go out there and do your best you can every week. I mean, no fear. Well, our teams have never played any fear. Go out there and get on with it. You're going to have bad games, but it's all about how you get a result out of a bad game. And that's why the Invincibles was a special year, because we didn't play well in certain games, but we managed to get a draw out of nothing. And that's why they've got to think about that. And there's still a long way to go. I'll put Man City as big favourites, Liverpool second favourites. But I know Aston Villa are up there as well, but I do put Arsenal's third favourite still, and it's just, if you're in that hunt the last 6 games, that's when the pressure kicks in a little bit more, and you just got to have a good finish to the season.
It's going to have to build a confidence back.
We was 12 points behind in '98, 13 points behind.
That's right, with all the games in hand.
But again, it was a little bit more, it was only Arsenal, Man United who could probably win it in that era. But now obviously you've got Liverpool, you've got City, you've got Aston Villa going really well. There's a few more clubs who can maybe win it this season. But you just got to go on that winning run. I think we won 10 in a row. And put us, and we had games in hand in the end. We had 2 games in hand at the end of the season, and we already won the league. So it can be done, but you just got to believe in yourself. And hopefully this squad and this little break they have, they can all get together and go again.
Galvanise themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes a break can come at a good stage.
Yeah, it probably has come at a good stage.
At some clubs it comes at a bad stage because you might be in good form, then you've got that 2 week off, and you don't want that 2 weeks off.
That's it. But in terms of, I was going to say, I think I've read that your favourite Arsenal kit ever is the bruised banana.
Yeah, I made my debut in that one.
Okay. Do you have a kit that's your least favourite ever? Not necessarily one you've played in.
Yeah, no. Puma made some good kits back in the day, but there's some bad ones as well.
Shockers, yeah,
I think do you know what always sticks out in my mind was, again, I was a supporter. I was going over to the games. I thought they wore it one game, and it was the third kit in 14-15, I think it was.
Okay, yeah,
like a light bluey one.
The pistachio green, was it? The mint green?
It was. Yeah. It wasn't good. It wasn't good at all.
I think I might have that one in my bag.
Have you?
Yeah.
Well, let's have a look at it in a minute. But that wasn't a great kit. I'm trying to think. I always played in decent kits. I did, because we had the O2 one, sponsored by O2, which was 202, wasn't it? And then you go back to the 90s, it was Adidas. Adidas was very, very good. Dreamcast, we always had some decent ones.
All the Nike ones.
The gold one. I like the gold one. We won at Old Trafford.
Never lost a game in that one, I think.
Yeah, the gold one was always a special one as well.
Yeah.
And it's nice. I've still got a few at home. A few of the shirts, my old shirts. Yeah. You always try and keep the best ones. I mean, I've got one when we won at Old Trafford and cup final ones, obviously, and that sort of stuff. So you always try and keep them ones.
Definitely. I think Arsenal are playing Liverpool again soon, aren't they? Which will be the 3rd time they've played them this season. So you think they can bounce back and then?
Well, they've got to bounce back. You know, if they lose that one, it's big trouble. I mean, I think it's early February, isn't it?
Yeah.
They play again. But they've got some tricky games. They got West Ham, who are going pretty well as well. That's early February as well.
Bogey team at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah, obviously good result against the Emirates from West Ham's point of view. They had a game plan and sat everyone behind the ball. But again, it's an old cliche, but you've got to take one game at a time. The most important one is the next game now. They make sure they win that one, and then hopefully that gives the lads a little bit more confidence and go forward.
Right, let's end on a slightly more uplifting note, maybe. Right, so imagine, you're in a pub, and in walks Ray Mears and Ray Charles. Who are you going to have a pint with first?
I'll probably go. I think I'll go Ray Charles.
Ray Charles, yeah. Battle of the Rays. I
think I'll go Ray Winston.
You should have said Ray Winston. That's coming next. Ray Liotta or Ray Winston?
Yeah, no, I love Ray. He's such a good guy. I've been to a couple of West Ham gigs with my old mate and Ray was there and we had a right good chat, and he's West Ham crazy now. And we have him on Talk Sport sometimes as well, right?
Yeah,
he comes
on
from Italy sometimes, and he must be very happy at the moment to have West Ham again.
Yeah, exactly.
I know it was a draw yesterday for him, but I'm sure they'll have a chance having a good cup run.
Yeah, got their Europa League run as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
so
doing decent.
David Moyes doing a decent job at the moment.
Are you Ray or Raymond on your?
I think on my passport's Raymond.
It is, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
But obviously Ray.
Next question.
Raymondo.
Yeah, that's it. All right, Raymond van Barneveld or the chef, Raymond. What's his name? The French chef,
Van Blanc.
Yeah, Raymond Blanc.
Raymond Blanc, sorry, Van Blanc.
Yeah.
Van Blanc.
You like darts?
Do you know what? I've met Raymond Blanc a few times.
Have you? Yeah.
Because he's very lucky that when you go to the Emirates, you go to the Diamond Club, and he's the one who does all the menu for the Diamond Club.
Oh, nice.
So Raymond is very, very good to know if you want a nice glass of red wine.
Yeah.
He's one. He say, Ray, this is the best one, and he sit there and but I like the darts as well. I think Raymond Van Barneveld, who's lost a lot of weight, isn't he? I mean, he looks a different person now.
Yeah.
I know he got beat by Littler this year, but he's been a legend as well. In Holland, he's a legend, like Dennis Bergkamp.
Yeah, fully, yeah.
I think I'll go Raymond Blanc. I think he knows the wine better.
Yeah, you can have a proper good session.
And I think he's quite a good laugh as well.
Yeah, you reckon? Yeah, he's probably not on the pints as much though, is he, or the Cobras?
No, he's a little bit more of a connoisseur.
Stick to the red wine.
We've certainly red and white wine, but he's the one. If you go into any restaurant with him, he knows exactly what one to have.
Okay, sounds good.
So it sounds good to me.
Yeah.
No Cobra bombs with Raymond.
No, probably he's a bit above them. Yeah. All right, that's. I think that wraps up pretty well. Yeah, should we leave it there?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. All right, Ray. Thank you
Perfect.
very much.
Top man.
Cheers.
Good
nice
to see you,
one.
mate.
Yeah, come on, the Arsenal.